Marcus buys a World Cup ticket package the morning sales open. He screenshots the confirmation before the page even fully loads and drops it in the group chat. His phone explodes. His buddy Jake, who is not going, types back instantly, "No way, you actually got them." And in that single moment, Marcus has never felt more alive. He tells his coworker, he tells the guy at the coffee shop who did not ask. His entire personality for the next 3 months is basically just a man who is going to the World Cup. Jordan opens a brokerage app the exact same morning. He moves money into an index fund, closes the app, and makes himself a sandwich. Nobody texts him. There is no group chat for a man who just bought a broad market index fund. When his coworker asks what he is doing this summer, Jordan says, watching the games at home. The coworker nods and immediately changes the subject. Same city, same job, same $60,000 a year, same summer, and by the time it is all over, one of them is going to be paying for a month that already ended, and the other is going to be quietly building something that gets bigger every single year he ignores it. My name is Alex, and I have spent years running the actual math on the decisions everyone else makes with their gut. If you have ever told yourself something was once in a lifetime to justify spending money you did not fully have, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, that phrase is going to mean something very different to you. Before we go any further, I want you to be honest with me right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you more like Marcus or more like Jordan this summer? Type Marcus if you are out here living in the moment, or type Jordan if you are playing the long game. I read every single comment and I want to see which side this audience is really on. Here is how the trap gets baited, and it starts with a number that sounds incredible. Every headline, every mayor, every sports anchor has been telling you the same thing for 2 years. The World Cup is gonna inject $17 billion into the American economy, 185,000 jobs. A once-in-a-generation windfall. Marcus heard that number and felt like a shareholder in a boom, so he spent like one. But here's the question almost nobody in that stadium bothered to ask. Where does that 17 billion actually come from? And more importantly, where does it actually go? Because when an independent firm called Boston Consulting Group ran their own numbers on the exact same tournament, they came back with something closer to $5 billion of short-term activity across all 3 host countries combined. Not 17 billion for America, 5 billion for the entire continent. That is not a rounding error. That is the gap between a windfall and a pretty good weekend at the mall smeared across 600 million people. Think about that for a second. The number on the mayor's podium and the number in the actual independent research are not even in the same zip code. And here is the part that should make you sit up straight. Even that smaller number is temporary. Every economist who studies this says the same thing. You get a few weeks of elevated hotel rates and packed bars, and then the tourists fly home. The bunting comes down, and the local economy settles right back to exactly where it was before. Like a couch cushion after you stand up. The money does not stay, and a massive chunk of it was never headed to the city in the first place. FIFA expects to pull in around $11 billion from this tournament. The city gets the traffic and the cleanup bill. That is a genuinely impressive business model. It is just not the one that was pitched to the city council. Now let us talk about what this actually cost Marcus, because this is where $9,000 stops being a number and starts being a lifestyle. The ticket was never the expensive part. That is the whole trick. Marcus saw group stage seats starting at $60 and thought, this is doable. This is basically a nice dinner out. What he did not clock is that the 2026 World Cup runs on dynamic pricing, the same technology that makes your flight cost more the moment you look at it twice. So the $60 seat exists the same way a middle seat in the last row by the bathroom technically exists on a flight. The games Marcus actually wanted, his team, the knockout round, climbed into the hundreds and then into the thousands on the resale market because scarcity plus obsession is the most profitable equation in the world. Ticket spend alone quietly rolled past $2,000. And notice what just happened. The napkin math said 60. Reality said something with a comma in it, and he had not even left his apartment yet. Then came the flights. The tournament stretched across 16 cities in 3 countries. Marcus needed connecting flights at peak summer prices on routes every other fan was booking simultaneously. Call it over $1,000 just to get there. Then the hotels. When a city knows the whole planet is coming, room rates do not rise. They levitate. A week across 2 cities, and Marcus was looking at another $2,000 to $3,000 easy. And underneath all of that, the swarm of small costs that do not feel small when you add them up. up, the ride shares, the stadium food priced like the beer is a rare mineral, the jersey because apparently you cannot attend without the jersey, $150 for a shirt with a very good story. None of it is crazy on its own. Each one is reasonable enough to say yes to, and there are 40 of them. Add it all up, and Marcus spent right around $9,000, which is a problem because $9,000 was roughly everything he had. The trip did not fit his budget. The trip ate his budget and licked the plate. And here's the question nobody in the group chat was asking. How did he actually pay for it? Because most people funding a trip like this are not paying cash from a comfortable surplus. Part of the savings covers it. The rest goes on a credit card at 22% interest. 4 easy payments, they call it. A phrase engineered to make a $2,000 decision feel like a light snack. The World Cup lasts a month. The invoice lasts until roughly the next one. Right here, I want to stop and ask you something. Think about the last time you spent money on something big because a countdown clock or a limited time offer made you feel like you had no choice. Drop a comment below and tell me what it was. Because what Marcus just walked into is the same trap, just with a soccer ball and a stadium attached to it. And it catches smart people every single time. Now let us check on Jordan, who has been doing absolutely nothing this entire time, which turns out to be the most interesting part of the story. Jordan's $9,000 is sitting in that index fund being deeply and profoundly boring. It does not send him a jersey. There is no group chat. In year 1, it drifts up a little, down a little, up a little more, and Jordan barely looks because there is nothing dramatic to look at. This is the stretch of investing that nobody makes a documentary about, where it feels like nothing is happening because on the surface, nothing is. There is actually a night in year 2 where the highlights are playing and Marcus's photos are right there in the group chat. The crowd, the smoke, the grin. And Jordan feels it. That hot little jab in the chest. The wait, am I the idiot here feeling? His thumb drifts to the ticket site for the next big tournament. He starts running the math everyone runs. Well, maybe just one game. I have been so responsible. Have I not earned this? Everyone who has ever put money into an index fund knows exactly this feeling. The pull to blow up the whole boring plan for something that feels alive. Jordan sits with it for a long moment, then he closes the tab. And does the hardest thing in personal finance, which is absolutely nothing at all. But here is where waiting quietly starts to beat spending loudly. Give it 10 years. That untouched $9,000 growing at the stock market's long-run average of around 10% a year has roughly doubled and then some, sitting somewhere in the low to mid-20s. Jordan did not add a single dollar. He did not pick a single stock. He did nothing except not touch it, which if you have ever actually tried it is one of the hardest financial skills there is. And Marcus has 10-year-old photos, a jersey gone see-through at the shoulders, and a story he has told so many times his friends have started finding reasons to leave the room. But here is where it gets genuinely serious. Because Marcus does not do this once. Nobody does this once. The World Cup comes back every 4 years, and every 4 years the trip calls to him again. So imagine Marcus takes that trip 5 times over 20 years, and Jordan invests that same $9,000 every 4 years instead. By the end, Jordan is not sitting on $20,000. He is sitting on north of $150,000. That is not a vacation. That is a paid off car. That is a kid's college tuition. That is a serious dent in a mortgage. It was hiding the whole time inside a decision that felt like nothing. But here's the part I have been saving, and it is the part that cuts both ways. Because right now, underneath all the fireworks and the crowd noise and the beautiful goals, there are 4 numbers sitting quietly in the background of the American economy that almost nobody is talking about, and every single one of them changes what this summer actually means for your wallet. Think of it this way. Imagine you are driving down the highway at night. The radio is playing, the windows are down, and everything feels perfect. But underneath the car, 4 warning lights have been quietly glowing on the dashboard for months, and nobody looked down. These are those 4 warning lights. The first number is the debt. The United States government currently owes more than $39 trillion and is sprinting toward 40. The country piled on its most recent $1 trillion of debt in under 5 months. And this year, for the first time in American history, the government will spend more than $1 trillion just on interest payments, not paying anything down, just renting the money it already borrowed. That works out to roughly $3 billion a day, every single day, including today while you and Marcus are watching a soccer match. And here is the number that should stop you cold. That interest bill is now larger than the entire American defense budget. Larger than Medicare, larger than Medicaid, and it is the fastest growing line item in the entire federal budget. The second number is growth. The American economy heading into this summer was growing at what economists politely call stall speed, the point where it does not take much of a bump to knock the whole thing out of the sky, and forecasters reached for a word that basically vanished from American life for 40 years. Stagflation, that ugly combination where growth slows down but prices keep climbing anyway, so you get the worst of both worlds at the exact same time. A weaker economy and a fatter grocery bill, holding hands and walking right into your living room. The third number is hiding inside your own wallet right now. American households are now carrying a record $18 trillion of total debt. Credit card balances alone are sitting around $1.25 trillion at interest rates that routinely run between 15 and 21%. Here is a simple way to feel that number. If you carry a balance at 21%, the real price of whatever you bought roughly doubles in about 4 years. That television Marcus bought to watch the games on, at minimum payments only, he is going to pay for 2 televisions and only ever get to watch the one, and the savings rate collapsed to around 4%. Americans are piling money onto credit cards, not to buy luxuries, but just to cover the gap between what they earn and what life now costs. That is not spending. That is treading water with weights strapped to your ankles. The fourth number is the stock market. Right now, the market is sitting at valuations seen exactly one other time in 155 years of records, and that one time was 1999, right before the market fell roughly in half and handed investors what people now politely call a lost decade, a decade where you could faithfully hold your investments for 10 full years and come out the other side with basically nothing to show for it. Now here is the honest truth, and I am going to give you both sides because anything less would be doing you a disservice. Marcus is not an idiot. In most years, across most of American history, optimism has been the correct and profitable bet. America is genuinely resilient in a way almost no other country on earth is. It prints the currency the entire world saves in, and those technology companies driving the market could look like a bargain in 10 years if artificial intelligence delivers even half of what its believers expect. Betting against the long-term American economy is one of the lose-and-just bets a human being can make. But here is what Jordan understood that Marcus did not. The once-in-a-lifetime phrase is never there for your benefit. It is there to keep you from doing the single thing that kills the sale, which is pausing long enough to ask what else that money was quietly going to become. The countdown clock, the dynamic pricing, the buy now, pay later button, all of it is engineered to find the exact moment your judgment goes quiet and stand there charging you for it. And there is a version of Marcus who gets almost everything he got and keeps most of what Jordan kept. He saves the cash for 2 years instead of financing it in an afternoon. He goes to one group stage match instead of chasing his team across a continent. He brings his kid, buys one jersey, skips the marquee final that would have cost more than the rest of the trip combined, and comes home with the whole memory and no invoice chasing him into next year. That version of Marcus exists, but he is rare, and the fact that he is rare tells you almost everything you need to know. So here is what I want you to take from Marcus and Jordan. The next time something gets sold to you as once in a lifetime at any price, this weekend only, clock is ticking. Notice that the countdown clock is never there for your benefit. It is there to stop you from asking the only question that has ever actually mattered. Did you count the zeros or did you just count the fireworks? Because the fireworks are real. The memories are real. Nobody gets to take them from Marcus, but Jordan bought a decade with the same money. And when his kid asks the boring question years from now, the one about whether they can actually afford the thing they need, he gets to say yes to that too. One of them will be paying off a month for years. The other turned that same month into something that gets bigger every single year. He does not touch it. The only fool is the person who never checked the price before the clock hit 0. So check it, then go have the weekend or keep the decade. Just make sure you are the one who chose. If this made you look at your own finances even a little differently today, then smash that like button and subscribe to Finance Boost Secret. And if you want me to break down exactly where to put your money right now, given everything happening in the American economy in 2026? Drop the word Zeros in the comments right now. If I see enough of you asking, I will make that video next week. See you in the next one.